This week has been a rough one for small business owners across the globe. I'm Katie Spadoro. I'm the founder of Cyber and CYB Human Resources. It's Friday, March 20th, 2020, and I'm here with your Small Business Weekly HR Update. COVID-19 has taken over the news, so this week we are bringing you a COVID-19 news special for your small business. This video and essay will cover how to manage issues in your business relating to COVID-19, the newest laws regarding COVID-19, and we will review some of the FAQs we've been receiving from our clients. The rest of them will be listed on our website or on our blog. As experts in the HR management field, the team at Cyber is acutely aware of challenges that small businesses and their management team will have to deal with. In general, there are challenges, but especially in the event of a suspected or a confirmed case of COVID-19. The potential economic and personal impact cannot be overstated. Therefore, in response to the COVID-19 crisis, Cyber has introduced an exclusive and comprehensive COVID-19 emergency service for its current and future clients. Cyber is actively responding to the direct needs of the industry. We see that many companies are now preparing plans in case of a COVID-19 outbreak, and we already have several of our clients' companies signed on for this special service. Cyber would like to offer all small businesses access to our emergency COVID-19 24/7 HR management support service. This service deals exclusively with the prevention of the spread of this virus at your business, suspected and confirmed COVID-19 cases at your business, and how to function moving forward from here. Please let us know if you would like to subscribe to or learn more about this COVID-19 special service, or if you wish to work with us directly to build up your company's internal processes. We've been receiving a lot of questions from our clients, so we've put together an FAQ list of what we know so far. Please keep in mind that these may vary. They may very well change, so be sure to stay in touch with your Cyber HR professional and stay up to date on any issues. Please visit us at cyber.co to sign up and receive Cyber's COVID-19 Small Business HR Brief, which is awesome, and all of the associated policies for your small business, which is free. This will help you remain in compliance while dealing with all of this craziness. So, what if one of my employees comes to work sick? They say it's just allergies, but you are worried that it could be COVID-19. What are your rights as a small business owner? Under OSHA, employers have a responsibility to provide a workplace free of any known hazards. You can send any employees home if they're exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19 according to the CDC. These symptoms include things like fever, respiratory issues, constant coughing. The EEOC has even deferred to the CDC in this case, which is a pretty big deal. This is good news as well for employers. Make sure you can keep your employees safe above all. Additionally, if any of your employees have been diagnosed or exposed to COVID-19, the CDC standard seems to be that they must quarantine and not report to work for 14 days. You cannot go wrong by following CDC guidance. As an employer, you are responsible to keep all of your employees safe, and COVID-19 poses a direct threat to your employees and your workplace. What if there is a positive case in our workforce? Normally, you would not be allowed to disclose confidential medical information about an employee. However, since we are in a state of emergency, these are different times. We have to keep our workforce safe, and you may have to relay information to other employees that the infected employee may have come in contact with them. Ultimately, at Cyber, we believe that you should contact your local health department and follow their advice and direction. What if an employee comes to you and is nervous about being at work? They want to stay at home and do not feel safe being at work. First off, we would recommend you do a little bit of investigation alongside your Cyber HR professional and check to see if the employee has any specific reason for this. Do they have reason to believe that their coworker is sick? Did they hear at the water cooler that a coworker's spouse just returned from Italy and has symptoms? If this is the case, you will want to further investigate. Again, if there are no clear-cut answers right now, but remember that as a small business owner, to keep your workplace safe, you need to follow the health department and the CDC guidelines. If there are no legitimate concerns for their fear and they simply just don't feel comfortable being out of the house, that's honestly understandable at this time because I don't either. Consider letting this employee take some unpaid time off. We understand that you may not be able to offer paid time. However, think from the other side. Is it fair to force an employee to work if they don't feel safe? How productive could they possibly be if they're worried about being sick or getting sick the entire day? Can I take my employee's temperature? This is a new one and pretty interesting for people that are in the HR field, knowing that that's not typically something that we are permitted to do. However, this question said, he looks sick and is coughing, but said that it's allergies. What can I do? Employers can take employees' temperatures. Generally, as I just stated, this would constitute a medical examination and wouldn't be permitted. However, since the CDC has acknowledged that the community spread of COVID-19 is a lot, employers may take the temperature of their employees. Keep in mind, some people with COVID-19 will not even have a fever and may still be contagious. What documentation do I need to perform a layoff or a RIF, which is a reduction in force? This may vary based on the company size, so we can assist you on a case-by-case basis. If you have questions regarding this, please reach out to your CYBHR professional directly and we'll work with you through it. If an employee, or I have an employee that I want to terminate based on performance, but I am not sure how to handle that with all of this new legislation. Again, this is something that may vary based on company size and the laws surrounding your company size, so reach out to your HR professional directly and we can walk you through that process. What if there is a positive case in our workforce? Normally, you would not be allowed to disclose confidential medical information like we spoke about earlier. However, we are in a state of emergency, so we have to keep our workforce safe and we may have to relay that information to other employees. I want to hire someone, but I don't want to be stuck with an employee if this situation doesn't improve quickly. What do I do? Employers can screen new applicants for COVID-19 after making a conditional job offer, as long as they consistently do this for all applicants. On the same note, an employer can withdraw a job offer from an applicant that has a COVID-19 or has symptoms of it. Can we allow some employees to work remotely and require some employees to come into the office? Yes, you can. Employers can decide which job functions and departments can work remotely. It is not always feasible for all employees to be able to work remotely. However, we do suggest that you make sure there are valid business reasons for your choices. Documented reasons. Additionally, if you can remain consistent across roles and departments, it will lower your risk of a discrimination claim. Does short-term disability usually take care of paid time off for people ordered by their doctors to self-quarantine? Eligibility for short-term disability depends on the specific details of that benefit plan and whether the plan approves the application of benefits for such use. Employees will usually be asked to provide specific documentation, including doctor's notes, in determining eligibility. If approved, the employee will be subsidized by the applicable short-term disability benefits as well as possible state disability benefits. If an employee has traveled recently, can you require them to self-quarantine simply based on the travel alone? If your employee has participated in personal travel, you can mandate self-quarantine measures and prevent the employee from coming into the workplace, especially if they have traveled to any high-risk areas as listed by the CDC. While you can't prevent your employees from participating in otherwise legal personal travel, your CYBHR manager will help you mitigate risk if you're concerned about the health and safety of your workforce. Are employers allowed to ask if the employee has COVID-19 during this pandemic, or is that a violation of HIPAA? You cannot ask your employees to confirm any type of specific medical diagnosis or diagnosis of COVID-19, since it may raise issues under various privacy and discrimination laws like HIPAA, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. In addition, potentially GINA, which is the Genetic Information and Non-Discrimination Act, and the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. Speak with your CYBHR professional on how to best navigate these questions and these issues at your company. Can you change a salaried employee to an hourly employee? We recommend that you proceed with a lot of caution in this area. Any change of an employee from exempt, which is salaried, to non-exempt, which is hourly, would be governed by the FLSA classification rules. If such change is made and it violates the FLSA classification rule, it could expose your business to misclassification issues down the road and fines. Please speak with your HR manager before making any sort of changes to their employment status. Can we let customers know we'd rather have meetings remotely as opposed to having on-site meetings? Yes, you can shift from doing in-person meetings and gatherings to virtual meetings whenever possible. You should communicate the new practice to your workforce and your client base. This will be the best way to keep your workforce and your customers safe, and given the current circumstances of the outbreak. If one of your employees has serviced a facility that has a known COVID-19 infection incident, can you force him to self-quarantine? Yes, you can require the exposed employee to self-quarantine if there is a reasonable belief that he or she has come in contact with the coronavirus. What do I need to know about a layoff or a partial furlough for a department? If you are considering a layoff due to the COVID-19 situation, we would recommend first considering a furlough instead. This is so that you have the option of recalling staff quickly in case circumstances change in the near future, without having to restaff and go through the recruiting, hiring, and onboarding process again. In either case, your employees can apply for unemployment insurance benefits if they experience a reduction in pay. Should you choose to lay off or furlough your staff, please work directly with your CYBHR Pro and we'll assist you and make sure you have all of the required documentation. Can we mandate that any sick employees must use their sick or vacation time when they're home sick? Yes. If an employee is taking time off for work due to being sick, you can mandate the use of any sick time available. This should also be in your handbook policy. Should I have a specific policy put in place for workers who are working remotely? Absolutely 100%. Your CYBHR manager can assist you in drafting and implementing a customized remote work policy suited for your unique business. Regarding reduced schedules for full-time staff, do we have to let them use their PTO to supplement their pay given their reduced schedule? If you offer a PTO policy at your workplace, you may allow employees to use this time. The decision is yours. The caveat is that you need to abide by the vacation payout requirements for the state where you do business. So for example, in California, PTO is considered earned income once it's been accrued. Therefore, you may be required to allow employees to use this time if their schedules are reduced. Further, if your PTO policy is inclusive of paid sick leave, there may be requirements to pay out that time as accrued sick time. Please speak with your CYBHR manager regarding your state and your specific location so we can help you figure that out. Can we ask clients not to bring children or family members into the workplace? Absolutely. This is your workplace. You can restrict whom you allow into your organization for business. Please provide some guidance about restricting public access based on COVID-19. Again, you may restrict physical access to your business for business reasons. And given the coronavirus crisis, it is a good way to limit exposure in the workplace. This may apply for visitors, vendors, and even job applicants attending for interviews. You can move meetings with visitors or job applicants to phone or video conference meetings. Furthermore, when it comes to vendors, you can exclude them from coming in and out of your workforce if they're not immediately necessary to operate your business. Restricting vendor access will help to limit potential exposure in your workplace and will keep your workforce as safe as possible. What happens with employees? If we lost a ton of business, can we lower hours temporarily? Yes, you can lower hours if you do not have the operational need to continue operating the business at the same pace. Your cyber manager will be able to gather information and work with you through this in detail. Can you identify how hourly employees are covered by the FMLA? If you have over 50 employees in a 75-mile radius, then you will need to adhere to FMLA standards, which is Family Medical Leave Act. Eligibility is not dependent on FLSA classification, meaning exempt or non-exempt. However, please do not mandate that employees use FMLA during these times unless it is due to a serious health condition of the employee or their family member. If you have an employee who may qualify for FMLA or ADA, we can work with you and make sure you can navigate those issues. There are time constraints, for example, on FMLA and response times, so please reach out to Cyber immediately and we can help you walk through it. What is the Families First Coronavirus Act? Assuming that the bill passes to provide sick leave by employers, how can I afford to pay employees for 2 weeks of paid sick time without earning income? Moreover, if the government approves reimbursement for sick leave, how quickly do I get the money back from the government? I can't wait until the end of the year for a tax credit. These are all great questions, but unfortunately at this moment, we do not have all of the answers at this time. The associated details are still being determined by the government. However, at this time, this is what we do know. The Families First Coronavirus Act is an economic stimulus plan aimed at addressing the impact of COVID-19 on Americans. We are watching the news consistently and will keep all of our clients alerted as to how to move forward. But please note that this summary has not been finalized and information is absolutely subject to change. As of right now, the Families First bill has 3 sections. One with an emergency expansion of the FMLA, a new federal paid sick leave law, and an expanded unemployment insurance benefits section. The expanded FMLA portion would cover more businesses, and the eligibility for employees would drop from 1 year to 30 days. Additionally, the bill would offer some paid leave. The emergency paid sick leave section of the Families First Act would provide 80 hours of paid sick leave to employees. This would be paid at either the employee's regular rate of pay or 2/3 their regular rate of pay if the employee was not sick but caring for a child whose school had closed, helping with a sick relative, or complying with a quarantine requirement. Again, all of this is subject to change, but as a business owner, we want to keep you aware of what is coming. The bill is moving fast and will directly affect your business. We have 35 full-time employees. If they can work remotely, can we pay them a little bit less? No. If your full-time salaried employees are working remotely, given the current coronavirus crisis, you will still need to pay them in accordance with the FLSA and your normal pay practices. If I need to lay off employees due to the coronavirus, is it best to encourage them to apply for unemployment insurance benefits? With respect to unemployment insurance benefits, regardless of whether or not this is an actual layoff or furlough, you should encourage your employees to apply for unemployment to help them with wage replacement benefits given the current health crisis. If an employee stays home because they are sick, do they take sick or vacation time? What if they don't have any sick or vacation time available? This is up to you as the business owner. If an employee does not have any sick or vacation time available, you do not have to pay them for this time. The best practice would be to pay your employees, of course. However, we do recognize that small businesses may face many financial challenges now and in the coming months. If you are unable to pay for this time off, please notify your employees accordingly and refer to your employees to any state disability programs that may be available for them. We are a teaching institution, and COVID-19 has a great impact on us. What must we do differently? We've started online classes, but not everyone is interested. You're going to have to get creative. As far as the impact on employee compensation, that will depend on your workforce. Any non-exempt hourly employees only need to be paid for the hours they work during a work week. However, as a general rule, exempt salaried employees that perform any work during the work week must be paid their full salary. An employer may not make deductions from exempt employees' pay for any absences caused by the employer or by the operating requirements of the business, including any shortage of work. There are a few exceptions where an exempt employee can be completely furloughed with no pay, so please speak directly with your CYBHR professional and let us help you. Can Cyber create a templated letter for us to send out to our W-2 employees? Yes, so we do. We can create and assist in drafting and implementing a customized remote work policy suited for your unique industry and business. Can you tell me about the reduction of hours? For example, I have a restaurant and I've immediately reduced everyone's hours by at least 40% so that employees can start applying for unemployment. How would this work with salaried employees? Keep in mind that non-exempt hourly employees will only be paid for the hours they work during a work week. As a general rule, exempt employees that perform any work during that work week must be paid their full salary. An employer may not make any deductions as stated above. There are a few exceptions, again, where exempt employees can be completely furloughed, but that's something where you really need to talk to your CYBHR manager about directly, and we can walk you through it. Here are a few things that we've been working hand in hand with our clients to work through. Telework policies to manage employees working from home. Standard operating procedures for the telework and the management team. Layoffs, preparation or documentation and processes. The same for reduction in force, the preparation of documentation and process. Management training for any of your managers who have now become remote managers. It's a completely different world. As a business owner, we urge you at this time to take a look at not only your emergency plans, but also any of the policies you currently have in place at your company. Take the time to be sure that your employee handbook is up to date. It should be reviewed annually at minimum. When things return to normal and you head back to the workplace, wouldn't it be nice to have your policies and processes lined out and ready to go? We think so. Many clients of ours had pushed off their HR until the last moment, which is very common. However, this awful situation is providing business owners with a unique opportunity to work on their company's infrastructure until we're able to get back to normal everyday life. We can work with you hand in hand right now. That way, when you go back to the office, you are prepared for continued success. What about remote work? Do you have a remote work policy yet? If not, now is the time to get that in place. As stated above, it is super important to manage employees. You will need a remote work or telecommuting policy before sending your staff home to work remotely. Also, make sure that remote workers are covered under your workers' comp policy, which you may need to reach out to your workers' comp carrier and find out. Once you have a policy in place, remember that remote work can look very different when working in the office. Here are some remote work tips to get you through this. First, create a schedule. This schedule may differ greatly from your in-office schedule, but try to get something on paper. Maybe you like to wake up early and clear your inbox before your kids wake up. Maybe your team has a non-negotiable conference call every day at 1 p.m. Whatever the case, be sure to lay out a clear schedule and try to stick to it. Communicate. Number 2, communicate with your manager and your team throughout the day. Be sure to be upfront about expectations and if you cannot meet an expectation or a deadline. Utilize video conferencing as necessary. Third, set boundaries with your children and significant others and friends. This is crucial to be productive during the day. Although you may not be sitting in your home office for 8 hours straight, be sure to set some do not disturb time with your family and make sure that they understand. Maybe you hang a stop sign on your office door or tell your kids ahead of time that they need to occupy themselves unless it's an emergency. Next, take breaks. Nearly 90% of Americans say that taking a lunch break helps them feel refreshed and productive throughout the workday. Try to take strategic breaks even when you are working remotely. Consider alternating shifts with your partner. If you're in a position where both of you, so you and your spouse can work remotely, consider alternating the days and the times so each of you has a little bit of free time for yourself. One of you can take the morning, the other one can take the afternoon. That way, for at least half of the day, you're working and available for your team. Overall, these are really tough times for everybody, the whole world. Here are some ways that you can support your employees in these tough times. How you act and treat employees in times of crisis says a lot about your culture and your business, and it'll have a lot to do with how your business is perceived after this pandemic passes. So do the right thing when you can. Have compassion for your staff. This is hard for everyone. Remember, your employees are people first with the same worries, fears, needs, and stresses that you have. If your staff is working from home, have a little grace. Many people are having to take care of their kids in addition to working from home. Schools, daycares, and preschools are closing, and much of your staff probably has children at home. Try to focus on key metrics and let your remote employees figure out how they will make it work. They may have to get creative, taking shifts with their spouse, as spoken above, strategically using Disney Plus, or work during nap times. Having some grace will go far when keeping your employees productive and loyal during this pandemic. Care for your people. Remember, this is a very sensitive situation. You may have an employee with an immunocompromised parent, anxiety that is exploding, a spouse that has been laid off. Try to keep this in mind when discussing COVID-19 and its implications. Finances are, of course, the most important thing for a small business, but remember to take care of your people too. They are the most important part of your business. Thank you for watching. Please sign up for Cyber's COVID-19 emergency service for further information so we can help you through this. Head to cyber.co to sign up and receive Cyber's COVID-19 small business HR brief, which includes some templates for your use. Check out cyber.co for additional information regarding how all of these topics that we reviewed will affect your small business and how to manage them. You can also subscribe and like us on YouTube. That way you'll always be the first to know when there's breaking HR news that may affect you. Please take care of yourselves, stay well, and wash your hands, and we will speak with you soon.